I just got over being sick for a few days. It was great. It was fun. It was the last days of June I was just sick for, and it was a time. I'm gonna be doing my what I read in June plus what I bought in June. My mic is in the shot. I'm sorry. No. What I read in June plus what I bought in June plus a little bit of what I read in May, because the last books I read recently was halfway through May. I'm really good at timing these things. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're just gonna talk about some books and it's gonna be a fun time, and my skin looks so bad, but it's okay. I think the last book I talked about was, I don't have the physical copy, was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I've mentioned this a couple times in my last couple videos. I really enjoyed this book. I read it for book club. Jeanette McCurdy is a actor. She was a childhood actor, and basically this is a book or memoir about her childhood experiences. It's about like abusive families and abusive food situations, stuff like that. It's a really heavy book, but there is a lot of humor thrown into it as well, and her writing style is very addictive and fun. So this was actually like one of my top reads of the year, and I really loved it and adored it, and I see why it's so popular. I feel like everybody was talking about this book at one point because it was just so popular. I gave that book a 5 out of 5 stars. I adored it. I adored the writing. I usually don't like autobiographies, but I really liked this one, so definitely recommend this one to like a lot of people. I think like my whole book club really liked this book. The next book I read was, again, a book I don't own physically. We're doing really great on that physical TBR challenge. Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. Is that it? I think it's it. Daughter of No Worlds. This is the first in a series, and it is a high fantasy. Wasn't for me. I really started listening to it because of the cover. I think the cover is so pretty, but the book is just okay. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to be continuing on with this series. I was just bored. I honestly, it might be closer to a 2-star. Like, I really enjoyed the beginning of it, and then it just got really boring and I just wasn't caring for it. But in case you want to know, it's this book about a former slave fighting for justice in this like high fantasy kind of world. Old grumpy guy who's not really old because he's the love interest, who is this like ex-warrior kind of dude, and she goes and he helps train her, and you know, it's this whole war training situation relationship thing happening. The book was okay. I liked the first half a lot better than the last half. I just grew bored with it. I didn't really care about the characters. I didn't have any like connection to the characters, and having a connection to the characters is really important for me. So I just don't think this is a series I will continue on with. I do think that it could be really popular and it could go somewhere, and honestly, I feel like a lot of people might enjoy this book, especially if you like those high fantasy, adult high fantasy books. Just wasn't for me. Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. This is a book. This is a Fairy Loot edition, and I am... It's about this girl who has this like power to raise the dead, and she gets caught by these like royal priest people and the royal family, and they're like, hey, you gotta come work for us or we're gonna send you to prison or kill you because you have a power that you're not supposed to have. And so she agrees. She becomes like this spy for the royal court. I almost DNF'd this, but I then realized I was 200 pages in and was not gonna DNF at 200 pages, so I read all 500-ish. Was it 500? Yep, so I read all 500 pages of this book only to give it 1 star. I should have DNF'd it, but then I wouldn't have been able to count it on my reading goal, and I'm behind on my reading goal, so I just stuck with it. It was so incredibly boring and predictable. There was like nothing that was like shocking to me. I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is happening now. The characters are so bland. I had like no connection to them. They're so predictable. There's this weird 3-way love triangle thing happening, and I'm so over love triangles by now. The one thing I did like about this book was its take on religion, because it does shine a light on some of the more negative aspects on religion. it's weird for me to say that, but I like books that like go into that territory of shining a light on the not so positive things about religion sometimes. Now, of course, this is like a fantasy religion and very cult-like of religion, and some things like corruption that can occur within the higher power people of religious organizations and things like that. So that was like the one thing that I liked about this book. Other than that, I'm like so done with this book. I don't want to ever look at it again. I really did not like it. I then finally finished my reread of Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I only had like an hour more left to read, so I just did it. Of course, Crooked Kingdom is a 5 out of 5 star read for me. This is one of my favorites. I am constantly rereading the Six of Crows duology. It's just one of my favorite, you know, happy reads to read, even though it's not really in a happy book, but you know, it's a comfort read, I guess. Crooked Kingdom is the second book in the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. It is such a popular fantasy series. There's the Netflix show about it now. I'm hoping to get the spin-off for the Six of Crows because the crows are my babies. I love them so much. I adore the crows with all of my heart. I love them so much. I will forever love this duology. It's definitely one of my top 5 like books ever. I don't know how much I can gush about this or how much I can tell you about this other than Six of Crows is a fantasy heist novel centered around these 6 characters who get together, who I love. All of the characters, they have to perform a heist to break someone out of prison, and that's the premise of Six of Crows, and this is the sequel. Really love them. Go read Six of Crows. I then read Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne-Jones. It's a children's fantasy book based about this girl named Sophie who gets a curse put on her to turn her old, and she has to go to this wizard Howl who is in a moving castle, and lots of magic and whimsy and like very magic-y times. If you've seen the movie, the Studio Ghibli movie, it's the book for the Studio Ghibli movie. It's Howl's Moving Castle. I gave a 3 stars. I found it still enjoyable. I found it fun to read and like correlate to like, oh, I remember when this happened in the movie, but they are very different from each other. The book and the movie, way different. I still enjoyed it. Like, it made me laugh and smile and like have a fun time just because Howl's Moving Castle is a fun time. That said, I really didn't like Howl in the book. He's so much more charming in the movie. I feel like he's definitely dramatic in the movie, but like his drama levels are like times 10 in the book, and it's to a point where it's just like, boy, stop crying, stop whining, you're doing this to yourself, stop. Near the end it just got kind of muddled and confusing, and there's lots and lots of characters just thrown in, but I still had a fun time with it. The first half of the book I was having a great time. It was the second half near the end of the book where I was starting to struggle with it. I don't know if I'll read it again. I had a lot of fun reading it. I will forever love the movie and love Howl, and I literally have watched Howl's Moving Castle like twice this month. I prefer the movie to the book, and that might get me some hate, but oh well. I then read Twisted by Emily McIntyre. This is book 4 in the Never After series, which is a twisted like dark romance series about different fairy tales, and it's usually like the villain ending up with one of the heroes. In this case, Twisted is about Jafar and Jasmine, but their names are Julian and Yasmin. So Yasmin is the daughter of the man who owns this very wealthy diamond business. Julian is his basically second man to the diamond business. He wants to own it, and so he starts basically this marriage of convenience, arranged marriage thing with the daughter of the business so that he can take control of the diamond business. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I mean, it was entertaining to read, but like definitely trigger warnings. I have a whole video on this book. I did a blind date with a book thing, and this is the book I actually ended up getting and reading, and I gave it 3 stars. But if you want to know more, or like the process of the blind date with a book, I have a whole video up that you can go check out. I then read Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, which is the first in a series, I think. I've been seeing this everywhere. It's this like hockey player, ice skating competitor, wow. Hockey player, ice skater, who start dating. It's a romance, a very, very steamy romance. I was honestly shocked by how much smut was in this book. It's very, very popular on Bookstagram. I've been seeing it everywhere. It has a cute cover. Everybody's talking about hockey romances right now, and so I was like, I'm gonna read a hockey romance, and I was sick, so I listened to audiobook. This is like the longest romance book ever. I could not believe how long it was. Every time I was expecting it to end, I was like, oh no, there's still like 20 chapters left. It was insanely long when it didn't need to be. Anyways, more about this book. This book follows the ice skater named Anastasia and a hockey player named Nate. I'll talk more about this in a second because that might be one reason I didn't enjoy it. Okay. I have a lot to say about this book. I'm sorry. Okay. It's so popular and it's such, okay. Anyways, Anastasia and Nate are meet basically because they go to the same college where they both do sports for, and they end up having to practice on the same ice rink because they're both ice sports. You see where this is going. And so they start kind of like this relationship between like her and the hockey players, but it's also kind of a feud, and it's supposed to be kind of enemies to lovers, but wasn't really enemies to lovers. Anyways, this is such a long book, and I just read it, and it's really hard to tell you what it's about. I don't know how to explain this book. It's a romance between a hockey player and a skater. That's all I don't know what else to tell you. I gave this book 2 stars. Let's get into it. Oh, do you agree with me or are you arguing with me? I don't know if you could hear that, but I just got squawked at by a cat. Oh, you know my booby. Oh my god, this book. 2 stars. The amount of length, how long this book is ridiculous. The plot in this book is ridiculous. The steamy scenes, wow. The steamy scenes in this book were outrageously long, happened so frequently, and the main character would not stop saying baby. I swear to god, he would say baby like 500 times on one freaking sex scene. I was so done with this dude being like, oh yes, baby. I'm like, no, stop. Why? No. The amount of times this main guy said baby in one sex scene, I was so over. I also have a big issue with characters' names being people I know in real life, and I have a brother named Nathan, and so it was really weird when she was like moaning his name, and I was just like, oh, I hate this. Did I tell you I didn't like this book? Maybe. Okay, I'm all over the place. But let's just say, did not like this book. I know it's supposed to be like a steamy romance, but oh my god, did it need to be like 800 pages long. I don't actually think it was 800 pages long because I listened to the audiobook. I don't know how long it was, but it felt really long. It was like 55 chapters, which is a ridiculous amount of chapters for a romance book. Oh my god, the drama in this book, all over the place, the bullying, the being mean to each other, the pettiness levels were off the charts. I just was so over it by the end. I was so glad, and I'm so over romance books, happy endings. I mean, it's kind of a spoiler. It's just talking about the romance genre. I'm so over when romance books, happy ending is married in with children. Why does that always have to be the happy ending? Please stop putting that as a happy ending. Especially when the female main character talks about how she doesn't want to have kids. Maybe just a thought, okay? Maybe. Well, she wants kids, but she wants to adopt. She doesn't want to give birth to kids. And still, like, we're doing this accidental pregnancy, happy ending marriage plot. And I'm like, stop. Why I know, it's upsetting. Romance books, stop doing this. Please, stop being happily ever after is just married and kids and the girl just stuffed with all of his kids. Stop. I hate it. I hate it so much. Anyways, so, yeah, wasn't a big fan of this book. 2 stars because, like, I did read it really fast and it was entertaining. Not really. I was mostly having fun with how irritated I was at some of the things happening in this book. It's really popular. Why is this book so popular? I don't understand. It's fine. Everything's fine. Oh my god, there's one specific scene, and I was talking with XO Joe, who is another booktuber here when I was reading this. There is a scene where they have sex in an Uber with all their friends around them. Stop. Ugh. Their friends are just there like, what are you doing? This is gross. And they're like, I'm drunk, so I'm just gonna have sex in the back of this Uber. Are you kidding me? The Uber driver nor any of your friends don't want to see you two have sex in the back of the car, okay? They don't want to see that. You guys all got an Uber together. Respect boundaries of other people. People don't want to see you do that. Stop. It's really gross. And then she has like this whole comment of like, does it smell like sex in here? And I'm like, I'm done. Okay. No more. We're done. I'm done with this book. I don't ever want to think about it again. Thank you very much. I'm questioning whether that was a 2-star read now. It might be 1. The next book I read, and the last book I read in June, wow, was In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens. Also, look how pretty this book is. This was completely a cover buy when I bought it years ago. And I've never read F.T. Lukens before, and I have a couple of his, I think, there. I'm just gonna say there. I have a couple of their books, and I have just bought them because they looked cute, and I've never read any of them. And it was June, and it was Pride Month, so I was like, I should probably try to read a Pride book this month, though I'm a big advocate for just reading queer all year. In Deeper Waters is this young adult contemporary, like, teen romance, and it was pretty cute. I ended up giving this 3 stars. This is a book about a prince going on his, like, debut tour across his kingdom. He's on this ship with his older brother, and they come across this mysterious stranger who is kind of like a prisoner in a ship that they find sinking. It's basically this adventure, magic, romance book between this prince and this mysterious boy who may or not have something to do with the ocean and water. It's pretty predictable. That's like my one thing, though it is short, so like there isn't much space for it to like really shine and to like really get the plot developed. So the plot is really undeveloped in this book, but it was mostly there for the romance, right? It's mostly there for a cute little story about this prince and this mysterious stranger. That's what I read it for, and I did really enjoy it. I didn't get super connected with the characters, but they were really fun, and the main guy is really cute. He gives me, if you've read Six of Crows, he gives me kind of Wyland vibes. He is kind of this nervous, anxious wreck, but like, he can get things done when he really tries to. And overall, it was really cute, but really predictable, and I will be reading more of their books in the future because they are really short and they are just kind of fun to read. I think if this author were to write longer books, they would be fantastic, but I think they're kind of focused on keeping them short, sweet, and fun, and that's like not a bad thing. Like, this was a fun book to read. It was really easy to read. It was literally read in one sitting. I love relationships on a pirate ship. I don't know why I'm a sucker for them. Should we get into the books I bought in June? Let's just do this all in one video, shall we? First book I'm gonna actually talk about is Twisted, because I did just talk about it. It was a blind date purchase, so I did purchase it and read it within, you know, the same month. So that was one book I bought. I got my Chain of Thorns special edition from FairyLoot. I'm still waiting on my 2 other editions for this series, but I'm obsessed with this series, so of course I had to get the special editions. But Chain of Thorns is The Last in the Last Hours by Cassandra Clare. It is one of the Shadowhunter series. Look at this edition. It's so pretty, and I love the foil. I can't wait till I have the other 2. I got Divine Rivals, the FairyLoot edition. I've heard fantastic things about this book. It is supposed to be this enemies to lovers, but they're sending letters to each other, but they don't know it's from each other in this war setting. And I've heard fantastic things about it. I've heard fantastic things about the writing. I honestly cannot wait to read this, and I'm probably going to be reading it soon. The last FairyLoot is one I just received a couple days ago, and that is Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. This, I believe, is a mermaid book. It is a dark, seductive YA fantasy where a siren must choose between protecting her family and following her heart. Oh yes, look at her. Oh, look at her. I can't with how stunning this book is. I love pirate romances. I love pirate books, mermaid books, siren books are my jam, and so I can't believe I just said are my jam, but I cannot wait to read this one. This is a book I have bought on ebook. I got it the day it came out on ebook, and then I had some issues with my Kindle, and so now I couldn't read it anymore, and so I've been waiting to buy the physical edition. I'm already halfway through this book. This is The Lost Memories of Callum Brecker. Marilyn can yell at me depending on how that's supposed to be pronounced. I think it's supposed to be like Kaz Brecker, like Brecker. Marilyn Borderland. Borderland? Oh my god, I've never had to say your last name out loud before, and I'm so sorry. Marilyn is one of my best friends on Bookstagram. Can't wait to finish this book. I am halfway through it. I need to find out where I was before my Kindle basically gave out on me, but this is basically a memory journey kind of thing between Callum and Ambrose. And Ambrose is trying to get Callum to remember this year of his life that he has forgotten. Anyways, can't wait to finish this. I adore you so much. I can't believe that I have this in my hands. The next book I bought was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is part of like the STEMist rom-com series that Ali Hazelwood is doing. Love Hypothesis is part of the series, as well as Love on the Brain. Love this cover so much, and I love the cartoony romance covers. You can at me because I know a lot of people hate them, but I love them. This is, well, what I would imagine is a STEMist novel. So this girl probably, let's see, yep, Elise Hanaway is a professor and a physicist, and she has this dream job, and this guy comes in the way of her getting her dream job, and it's a like fake dating rom-com kind of book. Ali Hazelwood books are all kind of similar, like they all have that rom-com STEM kind of work field fake dating kind of romance taking place. Fun to read, so I bought it because I want to read it. I still need to read Love on the Brain, but I have read Love Hypothesis and one of her short novellas, so her writing is really addictive, it's really easy to read, and I gotta read it soon because I think it's just time for a romance summer. I'm just gonna be reading a bunch of romance. Let's go. This mic has been in the way the whole video, but I'm too lazy to go deal with it, so... And I'm not re-recording this, so you just have to deal with staring at this mic. And now you get to see it even more because it's pretty and it changes colors. It's got those LGBT lights. Thank you for watching, and let me know your favorite book of June. The pretty colors are mesmerizing.